Okay, so Rumble Studio is being flaky. All the wheels are just turning here. Let's see if I'm actually streaming. Okay, yeah, YouTube's running, Rumble's running. This won't give me access to the interface. Great. Hey everybody, we're gonna edit a film together. I'm gonna try audio playback failed. Wow, this is really going great. Okay, let's see how we're doing. It says we're live. It says we're live. Okay, good. Whew, Rumble, you guys got work to do. Okay, and right before going live, my third screen decided to break. Tell you, streaming game ain't easy. Okay, so we are editing The Hidden Hand Behind UFOs, part 3 of an 8-part series working on with Matthew Arrett and Cynthia Chung over at CanadianPatriot.org. We got up to the 20-minute mark last time I streamed. Let's see where we're at here. You guys getting audio?
It was increasingly clear that the minds of the population had become the dominant battlefield where the Cold War was now being waged. This was a full-spectrum war that involved the promotion of drastically conflicting narratives by Western intelligence agencies in order to create an atmosphere of confusion, doubt, and speculation. Within such an atmosphere of chaos, a gullible and fear-driven new consumerist population would easily be distracted from the reality of the shadow government taking over their nations. While Project Grudge, Project Sign, the Robertson Commission, and Project Blue Book officially denied the existence of alien...
Playback's going to look like ass because, you know, this is playing right out of Final Cut at 4K with all the effects on, so it plays back kind of sloppy, bear with it.
...alien encounters, even threatening a...
There, I'll change it to lower quality. Let's see if that helps.
$10,000 fine on military personnel reporting their sightings to the press. Another simultaneous policy promoting ET narratives began to occur. In an April 1952 edition of Henry Luce's Life magazine titled, "Have We Visitors from Space?" an official message from the highest offices of the U.S. Air Force was delivered to a credulous American audience saying,
"Disks, cylinders, and similar objects of geometrical form, luminous quality, and solid nature for several years have been, and may be now, actually present in the atmosphere of the Earth. These objects cannot be explained by present science as natural phenomena, but solely as artificial devices created and operated by a high intelligence. And finally, no power plant known or projected on Earth could account for the performance of these devices."
One must wonder how the Air Force's policy of publicizing artificial devices operated by a high intelligence not made from this Earth could be publicly promoted on the one hand, while this same Air Force frantically suppressed all discussion of UFOs on the other hand. Could it be that these apparently contradictory narratives were simply two sides of one psychological warfare experiment carried out on the minds of the Americans?
Okay, that's as far as I got last time I streamed. This is all new stuff.
It is here that the role of media mogul Henry Luce, owner of Time, Life and Fortune magazines becomes extremely interesting.
It's Henry Luce, I told him.
Henry Luce was not merely a self-professed fascist and sponsor of American fascism prior to World War II, placing Benito Mussolini on his magazine covers extensively from 1923 until the
Anyone in chat ever seen a UFO?
fascist leader's death, but Luce was also closely allied to the Rockefeller Foundation. Working alongside the Rockefellers and using his own media outlets, Luce advanced a new imperial vision for an American empire, publishing The American Century in 1941. In this influential manifesto, Luce called for the USA to abandon its historical antagonism to global empire and embrace its destiny as the dominant hegemon of a world empire, with British supervision, of course. Luce was closely allied to the same Rockefeller Foundation that had funded the War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938, and joined the elite 1956 Special Studies Project funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, alongside a young Henry Kissinger, writing in Prospects for America that
it was and is the American task to take the lead in creating a new form of world order.
Henry Luce was also an early
lead in creating a new form.
that
It was and is the American task to take the lead in creating a new form of world order.
Henry Luce was
Fuck you,
also an
Kissinger.
early propagandist for another branch of the Cold War secret science program, dubbed MK Ultra. No comprehension of the hidden hand behind UFOs could be understood without an appreciation for MK Ultra and the rise of a new drug-laced spirituality. MK Ultra was a vast secret science program which was revealed publicly during the Church Committee hearings of 1975. Between 1953 and 1973, MK Ultra involved a vast complex of thousands of projects and sub-projects that developed a wide array of psychoactive drugs, hypnosis, trauma-based mind control, sexual abuse, sensory deprivation, and torture. These experiments involved the application of psychiatric theories premised on a mixture of Sigmund Freud, Pavlov, the founder of behaviorism, and Carl Jung. Just as the British Empire's leading scientist, Sir Henry Tizard, oversaw the Manhattan Project during the 1940 Tizard Commission to Washington, and just as the same Sir Henry Tizard oversaw the largest government inquiry into UFOs with his 1950 Flying Saucer Working Group, we shouldn't be surprised to again find Tizard hard at work here too as the initiator of MK Ultra. Author Naomi Klein stated in her book The Shock Doctrine that Tizard played a leading role in the creation and funding of that operation. Klein writes of a high-level meeting in Montreal, Canada, overseen by Sir Tizard.
One of the most controversial meetings Henry Tizard had to attend in his capacity as chair of the National Research Commission would only emerge many years later with the declassification of CIA documents, namely a meeting on June 1st, 1951 at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Montreal, Canada, between Tizard Mont-Solant, chairman of Defense Research and Development Canada, and representatives of the CIA to discuss brainwashing.
This Ritz-Carlton meeting would lay the seeds for MK Ultra, which innovated new uses for LSD, psilocybin, and DMT, with the intention of breaking down a human mind into a blank slate through a technique called depatterning, in order to then reconstruct those broken minds from scratch. Drugs had been used since ancient times as part of initiation ceremonies into various pagan mystery religions such as the rites of Eleusis. In World War II, the Swiss chemist Dr. Albert Hofmann found himself working on strains of ergot, a fungus that grows on wheat, which he found contained strong hallucinogenic properties. Dr. Hofmann extracted a substance called lysergic acid dithylamide from this ergot in 1943, which became known far and wide as LSD-25. Throughout the Cold War, Hoffman's LSD-25 continued to be developed by MI6 and the CIA on millions of unsuspecting human guinea pigs across the military, schools, and hospitals of America and England. In 1974, Dr. Hofmann wrote a book dubbed The Road to Eleusis alongside former J.P. Morgan Vice President Gordon Wasson, which posited that this hallucinogenic substance had been known to the priests of the ancient mystery religions, which used a myriad of psychoactive drugs from opium to mushrooms and ergot to induce altered states during initiation ceremonies. It was the view of the authors of The Road to Eleusis that the time had come to revive these ancient practices in the modern age. It is here again that we find Henry Luce as a pioneer of MKUltra propaganda, with his Life magazine being the first major press agency to promote the notion that psychedelic mushrooms were a gateway to a new spiritual liberation. This was accomplished through the 1957 publication of J.P. Morgan Vice President R. Gordon Wasson's article, Seeking the Magic Mushroom, documenting the banker's CIA-sponsored 1955 hallucinogenic pilgrimage to Mexico.
This is such a weird story. So you got Life magazine and the CIA working with MKUltra to start the hippie movement while they're pushing UFOs.
Wasson's highly publicized report in Life magazine and nationwide speaking tour to hundreds of universities served as a guidebook for many universities. Wasson's highly publicized report in Life magazine and to Mexico. Wasson's highly publicized report in Life magazine and
you guys can hear me belching in the background, that's fine.
Hallucinogenic pilgrimage to Mexico. Wasson's highly publicized report in Life magazine and nationwide speaking tour to hundreds of universities served as a guidebook for millions of young beatniks and...
Well, maybe I can just extend that. I press letter P, then I can drag clip boundaries over. Oh, it's so laggy. God, this is hard to work with. OBS just kills Final Cut when you're sharing the screen. Holy schmoly.
And nationwide speaking tour to hundreds of universities served as a guidebook for millions of young beatniks and hippies who would follow in his footsteps into their own drug-induced initiation ceremonies in the coming decades. These countless young admirers of Wasson would learn to shed their outdated beliefs in nationalism, family traditions, morality, and God in favor of a radically new, sexualized, drug-laced spirituality. Apparently, the only people over 30 whom the burgeoning New Age movement were expected to trust were those old people giving away free drugs. One of those young disciples of Wasson was a man named Terence McKenna.
This is Grok. This is Elon Musk AI generated picture here.
Who throughout the 1980s and...
Grok's great because it will draw celebrities. Most other AI software refuses to draw celebrities.
1990s did the most to promote psilocybins through his Green Earth Foundation, which found vast patronage from Lawrence Rockefeller. McKenna distinguished himself not only by promoting psilocybins, but also added his own thesis that benevolent aliens communicate to humanity via these mind drugs. Apparently, getting high was all that humanity's elites have needed to do in order to communicate with advanced ETs in other dimensions who have been kind enough to
This is more grok.
with advanced ETs in other dimensions who have been kind enough
This
to
image, and then masked out the alien, and it zooms in on its own. But then I take the full image underneath, and I play back together, and it kind of reveals the alien as it's going.
ETs in other dimensions who have been kind enough to give us those technologies needed to build pyramids, Taj
Plus a background, because nature abhors a vacuum, so I put a dust background in there for when the black is on its own
ETs in other
start. Let's keep
dimensions
it
who have
visually
been kind
moving.
enough to give us those technologies needed to build pyramids, Taj Mahals, or even create modern science itself. The unification of extraterrestrial communication and psychoactive drugs became a normal
This is an actual
component of
UFO
New Age
cult, by the way.
cosmology and played a major role in Lawrence Rockefeller's creation of the Disclosure Project for the Clinton White House in 1992, employing a former military physician named Stephen Greer as its spokesman. Over the coming years, the Disclosure Project served as an umbrella organization tying together hundreds of civilian UFO truth groups under a unified control as the Soviet Union collapsed, winning the support of key figures within the new Clinton White House, including Hillary Clinton and John Podesta. The irony that a J.P. Morgan vice president, a Rockefeller family patriarch, and a fascist media mogul would become patrons of the counterculture was lost on many. It is also worth noting that Henry Luce was not just a promoter, but was also an avid consumer of LSD-25 and did more than anyone alive to popularize this drug as well. Luce's biographer Stephen Siff wrote of the mogul's embrace of LSD, saying,
Time and life were fascinated by LSD. Henry Luce's magazines discovered LSD in 1954 and remained enthusiastic even as the drug was becoming popular with recreational users, frequently discussing the experience in an explicitly biblical framework. Scare stories were balanced with endorsements of LSD by professors, businessmen, and celebrities, and some articles.
So this effect here, this paragraph text in particular, is really nasty. So I'm going to bounce it down into its own little video instead of running as an active effect. Export video only. Apple ProRes 4444 to keep the transparency. Still waiting for anyone to tell me. Have you ever seen a UFO? So this is the loose bio one. Okay, we'll set that to render. Turn that effect off. And just so I don't forget, put a marker on it. A to-do marker. Replace with bounce. Copy. There's my little to-do marker. You can see up here at the top left, probably can't see it because of the mask. It's working away. There, you can see that. So that share, it's rendering that little film in the background.
Culture of the 1960s happened despite the CIA or Wall Street tycoons. But the facts show that in promoting drugs as the key to mental health, personal liberation, and even religious experiences, Henry Luce and Gordon Wasson were acting entirely as agents of the CIA and MKUltra.
Bastards. That's a lame ending there. I just cut the music off, so I'll do a little trick here. I'm going to hit Shift H, and that freezes any film or audio in place. I'm going to bring it back. Boy, this is so laggy. Oh my god. I've got to figure out how to do this without lag. Okay. So we're going to take that file. Over here is the effects menu. Scrolling down to audio effects. Did I save my, no, I didn't save one. I'm going to go to my favorite long reverb. Arts Acoustic Reverb. And get the, man, this is so laggy. Might have to turn off the screen share and just go with the application share. What the hell? But then that'll suck because I won't be able to show you the whole. Why is that? We'll make it like 7 seconds of reverb. I hate this new close window interface. Okay, get rid of the effects. Double click the inspector title here and that will expand the inspector window here. I want full volume for the dry signal. And then I want no reverb. At first, we'll go back to here. And I'm going to click here to set a keyframe. And this will allow me to automate how much reverb we're going to hear. And we'll go right to there. We'll increase it a lot. And then right before this last little hit, we're going to ramp it right up. Okay. What is this thing doing? Okay. Add keyframe. And then right before that little audio hit, we're going to bring it up to crazy levels. Okay, you can even see the audio waveform change there. Let's see what that sounds like. Great, so now it extends a lot more. We'll probably go even bigger on that. Just take it all the way up. Okay. Can hear it a little bit too much. So I'm doing Option Command, or so that's Control A, and I can find that parameter, which was wet level, and grab this little guy, and I can make this grow a lot smoother. The lag is unreal. It's this one I gotta move. Oh, God. Can't believe how hard this is to do. Okay. Okay. Turn off the solo and let's do it now. And
Agents
music
of
will
the
actually carry
CIA
out.
and MK Ultra.
Yeah, it's a little too obvious. So let's get rid of that keyframe.
CIA and MK Ultra.
Almost. Let's have it grow more there.
And MK Ultra.
There, now we get a nice fade out. Okay. Oh, Teddy.
MK Ultra itself was overseen by CIA Director Allen Dulles, as well as the American chemist and spy master Sidney Gottlieb, who both managed a vast array of experiments across North America. In the CIA's Harvard psilocybin project, founded in 1958, a devoted disciple of both Allen Dulles and Carl Jung, named Dr. Henry Murray, used talented young students as test cases with a star guinea pig named Theodore Kaczynski, coming out of the experience with a strange desire to murder anyone who promoted industrial civilization. After sending out murderous letter bombs across America, Kaczynski won infamy and even a vast cult following as the Unabomber. Other controllers of the Harvard psilocybin project included Richard Alpert, later known as Ram Dass, Aldous Huxley, the author of Brave New World and The Doors of Perception, and a certain LSD-loving psychiatry teacher named Timothy Leary. All three individuals soon joined Gordon Wasson, Albert Hoffman, and Henry Luce as gurus of the newly forming counterculture, where they pioneered a New Age movement based on an embrace of ancient pagan mysticism, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In 1961, Aldous Huxley described the importance of these new CIA brain drugs to Timothy Leary.
These brain drugs, mass-produced in the laboratories, will bring about vast changes in society. This will happen with or without you or me. All we can do is spread the word. The obstacle to this evolution, Timothy, is the Bible.
Leary continued to reflect on the obstacles they encountered as they sought to flesh out their vision for a new, enlightened world religion.
We had run up against the Judeo-Christian commitment to one God, one religion, one reality that has cursed Europe for centuries and America since our founding days. Drugs that open the mind to multiple realities inevitably lead to a polytheistic view of the universe. We sensed that the time for a new humanist religion based on intelligence, good-natured pluralism, and scientific paganism had arrived.
America's secret science program proved terribly effective, as an entire generation watched their world go dark as the United States, once a beacon of freedom, now embarked upon a new age of militarism abroad, consumerism at home, and CIA assassination programs everywhere. With this conversion of the Republic into a corrupt expansionist empire, the stage was set for a new reactionary youth movement ready to embrace a new religion based on drugs, sex, and alien gods. Not all scientists who had worked within the corridors of America's secret science program could be accused of being complicit in this dystopic
So
agenda,
there's another
however.
grok image, did the same thing there.
One
split
example
the
is
image.
found in the figure of Manhattan Project chemist Dr. Leon Davidson, who soon became a leading expert on unidentified flying objects.
And a lot of this really fancy stuff that you see here, I can't take all the credit for. This is, a plug-in. I don't know if you guys see it on screen. Yeah, it shows up underneath there. Pixel Film Studios. So this is a company that makes these things. They've gone into Apple Motion and designed these massive layouts, and you can customize them. They have drop zones where I can put any clip that I've got in my browser and add it right in there. And then it does the animation for you, and you can customize how it looks. Like this one, where there's all sorts of controls here. It's crazy, crazy stuff. So here I can take this dial and move that black stripe around wherever I want it to be. I got sick of it. Leaning was always leaning to the right, and the other times I use this is what I use for all the titles during this one. So yeah, you can customize them, change the width of those things, all sorts of stuff. As opposed to this Harvard CIA
All
effect,
scientists who had worked within the
this is all
corridors of
done by
America's
hand.
secret
This is
science
me
program could be
cutting the
accused
images
of
up
being
and making them
complicit
move
in this
all on my
dystopic
own.
agenda, however.
But even there, it's not that hard. This is just the automatic Ken Burns effect. You just grab any clip and hit the crop button. Choose Ken Burns, and it puts up the controls for you. And you can control how far in it zooms and what direction it zooms in, that kind of thing. Just gonna undo that so I don't ruin anything. Can't believe how laggy this is.
Unlike other self-proclaimed UFO experts of his day, Dr. Davidson was not politically naive and diligently exposed the hand of Alan Dulles behind the grooming of a new general belief in aliens. Dr. Davidson also took astute notice of the important role in this affair played by Alan Dulles' fellow OSS agent and mentor, Carl Jung. Davidson was among the very few truth seekers who recognized that Carl Jung's 1959 book, Flying Saucers, A Modern Myth of Things Seen in the Sky, was nothing short of a manual for social engineering and mass hypnotic induction in shaping a new religious order. Davidson wrote,
It became clear to
Okay, so that's too long a wait there. So, and I've got to put some titles back in here that I rendered. So this is the beauty of Apple's famous magnetic timeline. So I can drag and select all of these, get the playhead over it, and I can hit Option, Braces, and slide everything over, and everything to the right is going to move up to meet it. Okay. And I can move this over a bit to the left if I want it to start even sooner.
Davidson wrote,
It became clear to me.
There. That's good timing. Okay, so I've got to go and bring in these quotes that I rendered. Right now they're running as an effect. You can see it there on screen. And that just slows things down to a crawl for me, so I'm going to get the renders. So that is Davidson 1 and 2. I'll bring all the ones that I've done into my graphics event. What is that? Okay. So, Davidson 1. Put my cursor at the start. So it turns out Yukon Steph has seen a UFO. Any other guys seen one? Steph says she got it on film too. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to bring in my other. Hit letter Q and it drops it on top of the timeline. I just can't believe how laggy this is. I've got to figure this out. It's almost unusable. Okay, here we go.
It became clear to me early in the 1950s that the CIA, specifically Allen Dulles, had used legitimate civilian observations of flying saucers events as a tool in the Cold War. Dulles wanted Russia to waste effort on defenses against objects having the extreme capabilities implied by the public saucer stories. Dulles also adopted a concept from his old friend Carl Jung and co-opted the myth that benign aliens have visited Earth for millennia. He used magicians' illusions, tricks, and showmanship to blend in sightings, landings, and contacts with the legitimate military test sightings. Later, Dulles found the saucer believers and their clubs an ideal propaganda vehicle.
Stuff.
It should be recalled that Carl Jung saw himself as a modern sorcerer who believed it his destiny to overthrow Christianity by restoring a Dionysian Gnostic paganism.
Wait. Wow, how am I going to find images for that sentence? It should be recalled that Carl Jung saw himself as a modern sorcerer who believed it his destiny to overthrow Christianity by restoring a Dionysian Gnostic paganism. The same aim was made explicit by Jung, who wrote of this new pagan revival in a letter to Sigmund Freud. Oh boy. Alright, so let's go get some pictures or video of... I wonder if there's any film of Carl Jung. Ugh. Oy vey. Everything's just grinding to a crawl here. Alright, searching, put the filter on. When making movies, always go that extra length to try to find extra large images. Like this one. That's great. And I've got my screen grabs folder for everything I collect from the web. Drag it into there if Mac OS will let me. This is just unbelievable. Like command tabbing is not working. Okay. There we go. Cool. So I save everything to the hard drive. Then bring it into Final Cut. Where Final Cut will copy it over into its own library. So it'll be saved forever in there. It's safe within the Final Cut library. And that way it only holds the files that I know I want to keep. So I'm going to press R for the range tool. And hit this. Is this where the quote starts?
Absorb those ecstatic instincts.
So the quote's already started.
Explicit by Jung, who wrote of this new pagan.
Okay, so that's it there. So I can put the cursor there and hit letter O, and that'll change the range, the out point. And now I've got the picture selected in the browser. Hit the letter D, it jumps right into that range that I outlined.
It should be recalled.
We can put on our trusty Ken Burns. I'll set the endpoint more to his face. Done. And now at least for a start, it'll move in.
It should be recalled that Carl Jung saw himself as a modern sorcerer who believed it his destiny to overthrow Christianity by restoring a Dionysian Gnostic paganism. This aim was made explicit by Jung, who wrote of this new pagan revival in a 1912 letter to Sigmund Freud. I think we must give it time to infiltrate into people from many centers.
Okay, this will give us a chance to do something cool. Found a new... It's like AI voices, but it actually isn't. It's people training, people recording their voice, and then the AI controls it. So I gotta find it's a German voice. I'm just gonna get rid of one of these so I can pick a German voice. Okay, get the filters going. And the app, you can pay to have like Burt Reynolds read a book to you. Okay, so well, high quality is good. Male, middle-aged. I was trying out another AI app and it wouldn't put gender on. It made it really hard to search for voices. Like, great job, guys. So accent will be German. Oh, there's no high quality German voices, I guess. What? No sound. Not bad. So, that's not bad. Nice, reasonable German. I almost want to use that guy for... Oh yeah, right. Gotta get rid of another voice. View, delete. Voice library, add to my voices. Okay, cool. So let's go back text to speech. Let's get rid of the quotes in case that screws it up. Let's see if there's anything weird in here that's going to mispronounce. All right, here we go. Oh no, I got to choose German prof. No style exaggeration. Let's try it. Oh, this is the wrong quote. Ah, I just wasted tokens on the wrong quote. Okay, paste. Und we'll see. Might be a little bit too silly to actually use, but we'll see. See what Matt says about it. Okay, and then media, audio. I try to keep everything organized so I can find it later if I need to. Okay, and then this is coming over to Final Cut into my audio folder. Jeez. All right, that's it there.
Back into the sooth.
Yeah, okay. And you can assign roles to organize things. This is going to be a quote by the computer. Just going to get rid of this accidental drop. And then, where does the quote happen? Right here, right?
I think we must give it time to infiltrate.
Yep. So I'm going to hit letter B to get my blade tool. Cut this quote out. Letter V to mute it. arrow up to get to the edge. Letter Q to drop it under the timeline. And get my effects. I've got some favorites here. Got the quote radio voice with a little bit of reverb.
I think we must give it time to infiltrate into people from many centers, to revivify among intellectuals a feeling for symbol and myth, ever so gently to transform Christ back into the soothsaying God of the Rhine, which he was, and in this way absorb those ecstatic instinctual forces of Christianity, for the one purpose of making the cult and the sacred myth.
They even add breaths.
Forces of Christianity, for the one purpose of making the cult and the sacred myth what they once were. A drunken feast of joy,
and a mouth
where
noise,
man
you can hear his lips opening.
Once were. A drunken feast of joy, where man regains the ethos and holiness of an animal.
Alright. Whoops. This is sometimes where the magnetic timeline can get a little bit weird. Whenever it does that, I just switch to the position tool, letter P. Cool. And I use a really neat tool called Paste, which you can see at the bottom of the window here. And I keep preset pastes of things I use a lot. So I need the paragraph plugin, and I'll set it to about halfway. Gee. Oh my god, this is unusable. Give me one sec here. I'm going to change things in OBS, and this might help. So, one sec. Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that on. Does that help? Still laggy.
Joy, where man regains the ethos and holiness of an animal. In this
Still not any better. Ah, boy. Oh, gee, I can't even command tab. All right, guys, thanks for joining. I can't edit like this, so I'm gonna have to figure out a different way to stream these Final Cut edits because it just falls to crap. All right, I'll be back later for a non-editing stream. Let's spread it.